It's the moment you've been waiting for. It's finally closing day. This is the day that you are going to actually get the keys to your new home and be ready to move in. Let's talk about what you can expect. Thank you guys so much for watching this series to this point. Let's go ahead and talk about what happens on closing day. That's right, we are done with inspections. We've gone over inspections, we've gone over appraisals, we've gone over offering, we've gone over all of it from the start to now coming into the finish. What should you actually expect on the closing day? So first thing I'm going to tell you is that this is when you are going in and you are going to sign all necessary documents to take possession of your new home. When you're doing this, that stack of papers could be 1.5 inches thick, or it could be 1/2 inch thick. It just depends on what lender you've chosen to go with, what you are kind of looking to do. Because some lenders will do now, it's called a hybrid closing, where you sign a lot of things up front digitally, or a lot of them still are kind of in the old way of signing documents, hand signatures, wet signatures in front of a notary and things there. So there is a little bit of difference. So who you choose will matter how long you're there on closing day. But this is the day when you actually get the keys, you get to actually move your stuff in, and when we leave that closing table, it will be yours. First thing first, I always do is do a final walkthrough before you actually close on the house. Before you sign those documents on closing day, maybe even the night before, I always recommend that you go in and look at the house. I have heard horror stories, knock on wood. Thankfully, nothing like this has happened to any of my clients, but you always go in, you check it out. Like right now it's 4 degrees outside. I think it was -4 this morning. And so, but you always want to go in, you want to check to make sure no frozen pipes, that there's no ice dams like I had on one of my properties the other day. Make sure that there's no holes in the wall that the seller did when they were moving out. All of that stuff really kind of comes into play, because if you sign, once you sign on that dotted line, the house is yours in as is condition. So if you don't go back and check or go and do all those kinds of things, it can be detrimental to what you're doing. Now, again, knock on wood, I've never had that happen to me, thankfully. But I have heard horror stories, so I always want to talk to you about that and make sure that you understand that. Next thing, once you've done your walkthrough, you actually go to the title company. So in Kansas, what you are doing is, we are a title state. And so we have a title company that is going to handle all the documents. They're going to take care of the deed. They're going to take care of making sure you're getting a clear title, making sure that you're getting everything cleared up that way. So all liens are pulled off, everything's taken care of, and they're going to sign everything. They're notaries, they'll take care of that. They'll walk you through that whole closing document, whether it's 1.5 inches or 1/2 inch thick. But they'll walk you through all that stuff. So you're signing the deed, you're signing the documents, you're signing everything over. And this is all done at title. Now, sometimes a lender, depending again who you choose, you can close at their office. Doesn't save you enough money, in my opinion. I'd rather just go to the title company. That way it's done and you're good to go at that point. The next thing is, you are going to review the closing disclosure, review all of those kinds of things. You probably should have received this 3 or 4 days prior to the closing day. So make sure you're looking at that. That's looking at numbers, right? You're looking at how much am I paid in inspections, how much in registration taxes, how much in title fees and closing costs, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's essentially your contract written out in numbers is what your closing disclosure or ALTA statement is. At this point, you are also either wiring or bringing a check to the title company. This is the moment when you need all of that money. Whether it's, if you're, the only way I've ever gotten money back into closing is if it's a VA loan. We've gotten enough closing costs and things like that that you really need to kind of, whole different scenario we'll talk about. But so this is when you're going to be handing over your down payment, your closing costs. We have already worked with your lender, knowing exactly what dollar amount that you are going to have and need to expect as far as the check. And they will get down to the penny. That's right, to the penny. They will get down to what it is actually going to cost. And that's the number you're going to have. If you bring over that amount, that's okay. They will literally print a check for you and hand it to you when you leave the closing table. If you print under the amount, you will not own that house until you have that amount to that title company. So it's very important to make sure we do that coordination really up front and during this process, just to make sure that the lender, the title, and everybody's balanced. That's really what you're kind of looking for. Think of the closing day as your finish line, right? We started this race in the beginning by signing a buyer agency, signing all that stuff. We started it all then. This is your finish line. We actually get to the end. We've done all the hard work. Everything's leading to this moment when you get that key handed to you for that part. This timeline, most closings take about 30 minutes or so. Sometimes can take up to an hour. It just kind of depends on how many questions you have, anything there. Again, I always plan for an hour and usually get done in about 30 minutes. That way you can ask any and all questions. Make sure you know exactly what you're signing before you sign. So what should you actually bring with you to the closing? Bring your ID, because they're going to need to notarize things, right? So make sure you have your driver's license, all of those things. Then you're going to need the money. So if you're not wiring the money, then go ahead and bring a certified cashier's check. I have had this where somebody showed up with a personal check. That doesn't work. They need to have a actual cashier's check to make sure that it is the money's there. They will not take a personal check, and they will not take cash. As far as anything else goes, you really should have everything to the lender and everything taken care of before you get to that point. So there shouldn't be, maybe there's some additional documents and things, but most times the lenders have you all squared up. Again, in today's day and age with email and faxes and all that stuff, nobody really faxes anymore, but they have all those documents before. So really the two things you need are three things: yourself, your ID, and the money. And the money could be wired or a check. Either one of those works for me. Final thing to bring closing is don't forget to bring your excitement, because this is when, again, you are everything to your finish line. We're coming to a culmination of this. So you are excited to buy your new house, be able to move your stuff in, and get ready to move on to the next chapter of your family's life. I always like to talk about this just because you kind of understand who all the moving pieces and who all the players are in a transaction. And so for the title company, these are our neutral third party in the transaction. They are there to record our deed to the county. They are there to ensure that we have a clear title. They are there to ensure that all of our funds get transferred and everything gets taken care of on that side of it. So they make sure that they handle the transaction between everybody. They make sure the sellers sign, make sure the buyers sign. They are really a very integral part in what we are doing in order to give you a new house, or give you a new to you house, and make sure that you get a clear title and make sure that the deed is transferred into your name, because that's the important part, right? We want to make sure that we are getting everything that you're paying for. So that title company is there to help facilitate that, and they are working throughout the entire process as well. But that's why they are there, and that's why they're very important to have. So some common pitfalls or some common things that I see happen in a transaction is, what if there's a delay in funding? Well, those can happen. I think it really just depends on what time we close in the day. For example, like 3 o'clock typically is the deadline as a cutoff for a wire information to go out. So 3 o'clock is the deadline that you really have to kind of pay attention to. So if we close sooner than that and that money doesn't get sent out before then sometimes it can be a big deal. That's why for me, I only like to close on Tuesday, Wednesdays, or Thursdays because things go wrong on Monday, and Friday, if things do go wrong, then we have to wait an entire weekend. Versus Thursday, we have an opportunity to remake that up on Friday. So I always try to make sure that we are trying for that stuff, because I want to plan for this. I want you to be excited about all this. This is not stressful. It shouldn't be stressful at this point. So I want to make sure you have that one. So the other thing of this is, what if the seller didn't do the things that they said they were going to do? Well, unfortunately, I have had that happen to me. And here's the thing is that we have a choice to make as a buyer, right? We can either not close and we delay the closing, or we can accept money for the sellers in order to get it closed that day. Just because they didn't get it done doesn't mean that you need to pay for it. And so we have a lot of leverage. But again, as soon as we sign that document, as soon as we sign that deed packet, or that's signing everything over to them or to you, then it's yours, right? And it's as is, where is condition. That's what it is. That's why we do the walkthrough. That's why we do all that stuff, to protect you on that side of it. So I will work with you. I will walk with you. I will be there, making sure that you are taken care of every step of the way, so you don't run into these potential issues. Not saying they won't show up, because they absolutely could, but I want to make sure that you are protected as best that I possibly can protect you, and that we get you taken care of. I think probably my biggest one too, this third one, would be make sure you confirm your wire instructions. Again, knock on wood, I have never had this happen to me, but I have heard horror stories where I had somebody that didn't confirm the wire instructions, didn't call, didn't do the things that they needed to, sent $100,000 to the title company. And it was, or sorry, to the title company. There are scammers out there that you have to be aware of. There are people out there that will still steal that money, and they will look like they're from the title, but it's one letter off or one thing off, and then it ends up being not your title company. Well, if you send that money, it's gone. You don't get it back. Those scammers then just took your money. So you have to be aware of where you're sending that stuff. That's why sometimes check is easier. But if you're doing wire, which it is safe as long as you do it correctly, if you're doing a wire instruction, then that is the thing that you need to. For me, I'm always like, I tell the bank to call them, and I tell them to call the bank. I don't get in the middle of it. I don't give wire instructions. I don't want to get in the middle of it, because I don't want that responsibility. Because if you lose, even if $1,000, if you lose that money, you're SOL at that point. So I don't want to take that, but you need to be very diligent and very vigilant about who and where you're sending your money. All right, final step, and probably the most important step of a closing day, is the celebration. That's right. I don't care what it is, how it is, who it is. I don't care if you just want to celebrate by having a moving party. That's totally fine too, but you need to celebrate. This is a huge milestone. We've now been on this journey for 30 to 45 days of closing, not to mention however many months we were looking at houses and things before that. So you need to celebrate. Celebrate all wins, right? So celebrate the fact that you just bought a house. I don't care if it's a $100,000 house or $1 million house. You need to celebrate this win. So go do it with family. Go do it with loved ones. And I love taking photos in front of the house and taking the just solds and everything else that comes with that. I love that, and you should be excited. Heck, I even had somebody one time, I helped do it with him, but he proposed to his girlfriend at the house. All right, so that's how cool this stuff should be. It's a big moment. It's a very big moment. So enjoy it. Make sure that you are doing it and celebrating that stuff, because let's be real, you just bought a house, and now you got to move all your stuff in. So celebrate it, enjoy it, have fun with it. I know for me, one of the first things I did with my parents and she's my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time was we went out and bought a bottle of champagne, and everyone toasted and bought my first house, and it was. What I found out now is it was the start of me having an addiction to buying houses, but hey, that's a whole different thing. But I love it, right? You need to celebrate the wins. You need to celebrate the times that you have, because it's first time for everything. Whether it's a first, second, third, or fourth, you need to celebrate those moments. So enjoy them. So frequently asked questions I get for closing day is, what if I can't attend the closing day? That's okay. So first off, we need to talk. I like to have you there at the closing day, but if you can't, if there's like absolutely no way you can't make it, that's totally fine. Don't stress about that. In fact, we closed on a house with somebody, he was overseas. I think he was in Switzerland at the time, here recently. So we did a mobile, or it wasn't even mobile, it was a virtual closing. And so we have that ability to do that. We also have the ability to do mobile notaries and get all that. It just takes a little bit more logistics, but it is very doable, so do not stress about that. The other one is, when do I get my keys? So technically speaking, you should not get your keys until we actually have it funded, done, ready to go. I always, because it happens so much at the same time, I always hand the key over the day that after we get done with signing paperwork and doing all that stuff. But that's when I always do that, because in my opinion, it's your house. You've signed for it. Now it's just logistics of getting money wherever they need to go. So, but you will get the keys that day of closing. If you're getting ready for your closing day and you have any questions or if you need anything, obviously reach out. I want to help you. I want to get you taken care of. As far as the series goes, I hope that you've enjoyed this series. I've really enjoyed making it. It's, you know, buying a house is probably my favorite process. Selling's great because you get to actually make money when you sell, but buying is the most exciting piece to me, because you're getting, it's new, it's big, it's whatever, right? Like I just had a client today, we closed on a house today, and they literally went from a 1,300 square foot house to a 3,300 square foot house. Like it is a massive difference on what they're able to do. And I think that's the biggest piece, right? Is that they're moving up, they're upgrading, they're taking care of that stuff. And I think that's the piece of why the excitement and everything else. Selling, yeah, don't get me wrong. Everyone likes to see those big paychecks, right? Whenever you sell for equity and things. But the buying is the most exciting part, in my opinion. So at this point in time, I really do appreciate you guys watching this series all the way to the end. It really has been a pleasure. As always, if you have any questions at all about buying, selling, or investing, please reach out to me. My cell phone number, my personal cell phone number is 785-477-5485. My email is kyle@homesforsalemhk.com. And again, I want you to reach out. I don't care if it's in the comments below, if it's an email, a text message, or phone call. Get a hold of me. Ask questions. I want to help educate you through this entire process of what it takes to buy a house and to be a homeowner. And if you tune back in, I am going to continue doing a couple more helpful videos of what happens after closing, what you should kind of expect. So maintaining, owning, and just upgrading your home. A lot of what I do and a lot of my expertise is in the construction side of things. And so I really like to focus on that and really helping you build equity into what you have, what you've just purchased, because that's the beauty of it, is that we can build equity into homes and make sure that they are improved and everything there. So thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't done so already, go and hit that subscribe button, go and hit that little bell so you get notified of any future content. Give us that like, give us that share, go ahead and comment in below. I would love to hear from you guys and see about what your experience has been with buying a home. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you much. We'll talk to you later.